So we have the equation negative 4x minus 2y equals negative 12, and 4x plus 8y equals negative 24. So we want to solve for x and y here. First thing we should notice is we have a 4 and a 4 here, but because they're opposite signs, when we add these two equations, they're going to end up canceling each other. So we have negative 2y plus 8y is 6y. Negative 12 plus negative 24 is negative 36. Divide both sides by 6. We get that y is equal to negative 6. Now we can plug in negative 6 into the first equation or the second equation. I think it's easier to plug in the first equation because the numbers are smaller. So we have negative 4x minus 2y. But instead of plugging in y, we're going to plug in negative 6. So you have negative 4x plus 12 equals negative 12. We're going to subtract both sides by 12 and get that negative 4x is negative 24, and so that means x has to be positive 6. So our answer is x equals 6 and y equals negative 6. Okay. Next example, we have 8x plus y equals negative 16. Negative 3x plus y equals negative 5. So here we have the option of eliminating x or y, but it makes sense to eliminate y because they have the same coefficients. So it's 1y and 1y. Now how do you eliminate it? Do you eliminate it by subtracting or adding? So it turns out subtracting. Okay, so if I do y minus y, that goes away. Okay. All right, now let's look at this. So we have 8x minus negative 3x. That's the same thing as just adding 8x and 3x, which is 11x. Now negative 16 minus negative 5 is the same thing as negative 16 plus 5, and that's negative 11. If I divide both sides by 11, I get that x is equal to negative 1. So that is one of my solutions. Now I want to solve for y. So I'm going to plug in negative 1 for x, either the first or second equation. Let's plug in the second equation. The second equation is negative 3x, but here x is negative 1, plus y is negative 5. Negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3. And now I'm going to subtract both sides by 3 to get that y is negative 8. So my answer is y equals negative 8 and x equals negative 1. Okay, next example, I have negative 4x plus 9y equals 9, and x minus 3y equals negative 6. So now if I look at the coefficients, they're not exactly the same. So I have the option of either eliminating x or y first. It doesn't matter what we do first. So let's say I want to eliminate y. Well, if I want to eliminate y, I want to make sure that these have the y coefficients are the same. So here is 9, here is negative 3. So we don't have to multiply by negative to get the exact sign. As long as they're both 9, then we can add them and they'll go away. So we want to turn this 3 into a 9. And we're going to do that by multiplying this equation by 3. Now the top equation, we're not going to do anything with it. We're just going to leave it alone. And the bottom equation, we want to multiply everything by 3. So first we'll multiply the x, 3 times x, and then 3 times negative 3y, and finally 3 times negative 6. Okay, now when we add, the y's are going to cancel. We have negative 4x plus 3x is negative x. 9 plus negative 18 is negative 9. I want to get positive x, by itself, so I'm going to get rid of the negatives for both of them and get that x is equal to 9. Now this is one solution. Let's find what y is. So it makes sense to plug in y, to solve for y for this second equation. We have x minus 3y equals negative 6. That was the original equation. But now we found that x is 9. So let's plug in x equals 9 and let's solve for y. Subtract both sides by 9. We have negative 3y equals negative 15. Let's divide both sides by negative 3 to get y equals 5. Okay, so the answer is x equals 9 and y equals 5. Last one. We have 5x plus 4y equals negative 14. And 3x plus 6y equals 6. So if we look at the coefficients here, the x's are 5 and 3, and the y's are 4 and 6. They're not exactly multiples of each other. So this one we have to be creative. We can eliminate the x's first or the y's. It doesn't really matter what we eliminate first, but because we eliminated y the last example, let's eliminate x. So a good way to eliminate this is to multiply by the other coefficient. So right now the first one is 5x. So we're going to multiply by 3. So just multiply the other coefficient. And now this 3 multiply with the other coefficient, 5. So make sure you have to multiply the entire equation by 3 and 5. Okay, so for the top equation, we're going to distribute the 3 to 5x, and then to 4y, and then finally to negative 14. For the last equation, we're going to distribute 5 to 3x, 5 to 6y, and then 5 to 6. Okay, now we have the same x values. So what's going to cancel them is subtracting. Okay, so 15x minus 15x, that's 0. We have 12y minus 30y. That's negative 18y. Then negative 42 minus 30 is negative 72. Divide both sides by negative 18 to get that y is 4. Okay, so this is one of the answers. Now let's plug it into either the top or the bottom equation. Let's pick the bottom because they're all positive. We have 3x plus 6y, but y we just found to be 4, equals 6. So 3x plus 6 times 4 is 24, equals 6. We're going to move the 24 to the other side by subtracting. We have 3x equals negative 18. And when we divide both sides by 3, we get that x is negative 6. So the final answer is x equals negative 6 and y equals 4.